David Falk talking about this superstar thing. So we put this up on our Instagram. If you're watching, follow us on Instagram at Basketball Society _. And we got some feedback. Let me pull it up right now too, so I can see some of this.
Yeah, I'm pulling up like my little stuff.
That I had to address when I seen this thing go up, because look, I'm not agreeing. I'm half agreeing and I'm half disagreeing with what was said. And what really got me was in these comments. Like, I get it, the talent's better today. We know this. We know there's more stars today, but in the quote, I'm seeing the word superstars. And then I'm in the comments seeing people acting as if there's just a load of superstars today. You know, we don't have to agree that we can agree that there weren't 25 during the Jordan era, and I'm gonna get to that too, because he didn't get too specific on when he was talking about, so we got to kind of go into that. But man, listen, somebody was in these comments talking about we can reel off 5+ superstars today.
I just think there's a fascinating so I'm a LeBron fan and you know what side I'm on. I don't even have to tell you when it comes to like the LeBron Jordan thing. But when it comes to superstars, and how people regard the NBA players today, I think there's always a fascination with the players that you're currently watching. And I think that we need to sit back before we even get into this of like defining what a superstar actually is, because like we discussed, there's not even 25 superstars in NBA history, in my opinion.
Bro, when you said
that's a special word.
it hit me. Yeah, because it hit that, like you said, it comes down to how you define a superstar. And I feel like that's what we started talking about in the chat after this post. It's like, I think most of us were kind of on the same page in terms of, like, I said one thing for me is like, you should be a household name. And then I think Felix said, which I really agreed with, like, as a superstar, anywhere you go is an instant title contender. And I agree with that too.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because and I'm glad that you mentioned like the off the court stuff too, because like a part of a superstar is also being marketable. It's like butts and seats, and then it's like, again, like, yeah, like when this guy is here, we're automatically, not in the playoffs, like we are automatically like contending
Right.
for a title or threatening for at least the conference finals. And that list of guys is astoundingly short.
I mean, like I said, Falk said there are 4 or 5 current superstars today.
I
agreed with that part.
What's the 4?
If it's 4, I mean, I mean, look, LeBron, Steph, KD, Harden. LeBron, Steph, KD, Harden. Who am I missing? Kawhi.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the list. I know that some would say Giannis, he's the MVP. What about him? But like I was just talking to my guys at the barbershop about it today. The problem with Giannis is you have to have the ability in the playoffs to not be game planned out of your effectiveness. A true superstar, you can't game plan Steph Curry out of his effectiveness. You can't game plan Kawhi out of hitting high efficiency mid-range jumpers and doing what he does. But Giannis has been game planned out 3 years in a row now, early.
Yeah.
Bro,
like I'm not giving you superstar unless you have a ring already. You know what I mean? Like, I get that Giannis has superstar, like essentially.
Well, what about Harden though?
Okay, well, the thing about
that's what I'm saying. It can't be based on. Well,
no, it's not. It's not based on that. But I feel like that's one of the prerequisites. Like if you're looking at a resume for superstar, that's one of the things that like is a kind of a deal breaker. So you mentioned Harden. Harden is an anomaly in every sense, like, right? Because like, is he a title? Any team he goes to, it will be like title contender just off the fact that they'll probably win 50 games. Just
I'm trying to think back
to so they'll be projected as a title contender, any team he's on, just because he's that good in the regular season.
Yeah.
That in itself makes him a superstar. Like that.
I'm just trying to think back and make sure I'm not disrespecting anybody. Like, if I could think of, are there any superstars that don't have a ring? Like,
any superstars that don't have
a ring. Like, was
superstar?
Yeah, so like those guys are rare. I guess they're anomaly. Malone,
Because it's like, yo,
Harden.
bro, you have to create a body of work in your career. If you don't have a ring, right? Your
Yeah.
body of work, same, just like Harden, like your body of work has to be so heavy, so strong that kind of makes you a superstar without having to get the, the accolade of a championship.
Right.
But
And he's
plus
the
he has an
greatest.
MVP. If you have
Yeah.
personal accolades, that can kind of help too.
Yeah. No, and that's true. And like Harden is statistically the greatest offensive force since like Michael Jordan and Wilt. So that's why it falls in, into that. And Karl Malone, like, he just scored on whoever he wanted for years and years and years and years. And just, he got mic'd. He's one of many guys whose career, ran into MJ.
So like T-Mac, would T-Mac be a superstar for you?
I mean, it was Penny Hardaway a superstar. And like that's the thing. Like if like it's part of being a superstar staying healthy, it's part of being, and I think it is. I'm sorry. That's also why I feel like Penny and T-Mac, as great as they are, shouldn't even be in the hall.
All right,
You
so
know what I
I feel
mean?
like, yeah, but I feel like what David Falk did was more
People who
so
played at that level.
I think it's more superstar talent. Like I feel like he didn't like. I feel like he wasn't talking. There were all these superstars in the league at the time. I feel like he was more so alluding to superstar talent. For example, Anthony Davis is a superstar talent. I wouldn't
Is he?
necessarily call him a superstar. Is he not?
I mean, but here's my thing. Here's my thing. He was with the Pelicans. They never threatened for a title while he was there.
I know,
They
but
never
I'm not
threatened for
saying
it.
as a
Like as
superstar
I
talent.
know he can play to that level.
Yeah.
So I know he can play to that level, but the thing is, your presence. There's no other superstar that I would feel comfortable putting Anthony Davis on a list next to. Not with the guys that we mentioned, because those guys weren't 8th seed, 7th seed, and bounce.
Right.
Regardless of who was around them.
Right.
LeBron went and played on undermanned Cavaliers teams, but they always mattered. They was always pushing for the conference finals. Harden, no matter who's been around them, he's had Chris Paul, he's had Dwight Howard, he's got Russell Westbrook. Houston has been knocking on the door the entire time. And that's why I don't feel comfortable, because regardless of what level he can play to, the results matter for superstardom to me.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel you. But I guess I'll use Giannis as the example. Giannis is also a superstar talent. That's why some people right now will call him a superstar. He's been an MVP. He's a dominant force. Like he plays like a superstar, right? That's kind of what I mean by AD. Like he has that superstar level talent. And that's what I think David Falk was mentioning with these guys that Jordan played against, because he played against so many high level talented guys that he's like, well, all these guys were superstars. To your first point, you're always gonna be biased to the players that you watched, that you grew up watching, or that were your preference. So clearly, he prefers the style of play of back in the day and the talent and whatnot. But I feel like that's what more so he was speaking to, as opposed to saying like there was just a bunch of superstars, everybody was like high level. I think he just meant the talent was better. And I mean, I don't that's completely debatable, of course.
I mean, well, look, like, look, in that essence, like, I feel him. But even if you go by that, like, let's say he's right, he's just, prefers the guys in his era, people who played up to that superstar level. But then what did I just say? The results, even in that era, the people who would fall into that category for me is still short. It's Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. It's Stockton and Malone. It's Ewing. And it's those Pistons teams like Isaiah and things like that. But still, like, what other guy, Penny and Shaq, because they actually did beat the Bulls in that one series and they threatened for a little bit. Hakeem. But like there's other guys, like I'm still not going to say Grant Hill, even though he played to that level, because his teams never threatened for that.
And that's why I feel like he's including people like Grant Hill.
And that's my problem. I feel like he's including guys like that where they are known for being really, really good players during their time. Like I don't even know if I would count Clyde. Like the Blazers made a couple of like appearances late, but it's just like you ran into another superstar and never even kind of got the best of him. Like you always looked second rate. Like Harden may lose the series, but there's going to be games where he looks like the best player on the floor in that series.
Yeah, they should have had him name whoever was talking with the Sirius XM. They should have had him name all the superstars that he considered superstars.
If you're gonna put out a number like that, you need to. I don't care like what platform you're on. You don't just get to throw out a number and walk out of the room. You need to go ahead and tell us exactly who you mean, because there's only very little guys who had their teams conference finals threatening is the threshold that I'm going to set year after year after year.
Yeah, I feel like he's just he's talking about like the fact that he thinks that the star talent, again, I feel like even we can't time travel, of course, but we would need to know what I want to know if they were even using the word superstar back then. Like, were y'all even using that word? Maybe, and they could have only applied it to a handful of people, just like we are now. So I don't know how it could be 25.
I think, there may have been 25 to 35 stars while MJ played, the Mitch Richmonds and stuff for the world, like guys who were just like really, really good, played on really good teams that had runs for a year or two. But it's just like, that's not the same as being a superstar. A superstar means, like, when you think about the 2000s, it was Kobe's decade, it was Tim Duncan's, it was AI's decade, it was Shaq's decade, and then Wade and them came in at the end. We don't list, Gilbert Arenas was a beast for 1 year. He was my favorite player. Like, I had Gil Zeros. That was my freshman year sneaker. That was the team sneaker. We had Gil Zeros, and I had like my little 41 on the side and like the J Kirk on the back and shit. But it was like, but he's not a superstar. You know what I mean? It's not that. It's different.
Yeah, we had the video on this channel where we talked about Reggie Miller. Like, would Reggie be a superstar in today's game? And that was interesting to talk about, because I think that's another guy that David Falk is referring to, that Michael played against, where he's like, he was a superstar of that time. In that time, maybe, like, context matters. Like, I don't think any of us argued that today Reggie would be like a superstar, maybe a star, maybe a top, whatever player, I don't know the number, but like he'd be in the mix. But that word is superstar and star is two different levels.
That's what I'm saying. They're just two different levels, and it's just like, you can be a really good player and still, like, I don't think to be a superstar you have, like, I thought at first, I was like, you have to be a superstar to be a Hall of Famer, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I think if you're a star, and plus, especially since it's, I don't think you have to. So I will lessen it to star. You have to be a star to be in the Hall of Fame, but to be a superstar, that's like, there's a different level there because of the consistency of results over a set period of time. To me, you know what I mean? Like, you have to, because it's hard enough to have your team pop for a season or two in the league. Like, these are the best athletes in the world. But to have your team matter and be relevant year after year after, whether you win or not, year after year after year, you're in the conversation. That's, to me, what makes a superstar.